are going on the road on Sportsmanlike. We will be live from Pittsburgh beginning this Thursday for coverage of the NFL Draft, brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors, 5-Hour Energy, ZipRecruiter, and Marriott Bonvoy. Very much looking forward to it Thursday and Friday for rounds one of the NFL Draft on, obviously, Thursday, round one, and then day two on Friday. So the trade over the weekend, if you're unaware, the New York Giants traded Pro Bowl defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence, former first-round pick out of Clemson, to the Cincinnati Bengals for the number 10 overall pick in the draft. Cincinnati then gives a one-year, $28 million extension to Dexter Lawrence, who now has 3 years left on his deal. He is 28 years old. He was a Pro Bowler in 22, 23, and 24. The Giants now with 5 and 10 in the draft. So the Cincinnati Bengals first-round pick is Dexter Lawrence. Let's, ladies, focus on the Bengals part right now. We're going to get to the Giants part, but the Bengals part, I think, is an enormous aspect of this because of this reason, and mainly this reason. They told you over the weekend they believed that there was a chance at some point Joe Burrow was going to ask out. That's why they made this trade, in my opinion. They will never say that. That is my belief, personally, that they're saying the window is now for Joe Burrow. He is fed up with the organization, kind of rightfully so. They probably are annoyed with some of his suggestions because they haven't worked out either. And this is them saying all in for that quarterback who once took them to the Super Bowl, because if they don't get far or if they don't satisfy him, it is not off the table for him to say, I don't want to be here anymore. That is why, in my mind, they made this trade this weekend, Smalls.
Why can't it just be the window is now because of that quarterback? And why do we have to wrap it into he would want to ask out? Let me take a step back. Shouldn't it just be we have that guy under center and we need to maximize this window to win? And for an organization that has the narrative around it that they've been notoriously cheap, that they don't go all in, they certainly have invested in some star players. They've invested in the quarterback. They've invested in his two weapons, in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Despite the Trey Hendrickson turmoil year after year, wondering if they were going to retain him and give him the deal that he wants, he's ultimately out the door. And they say, you know what, we have an opportunity to grab Dexter Lawrence. I think it was a very good move for the Cincinnati Bengals, but it better work out. They are an organization that is looking to get back to the playoffs and not only punch their ticket to the playoffs, but compete for a championship. So I give them credit for going for it in that way.
This was stunning. I didn't expect when I got the alert at 8:30 Eastern on Saturday night that it would say Cincinnati Bengals being the team that gives up the 10th overall pick for a player straight up. Because the rumor had been for a couple weeks that the Giants were really seeking that first round pick. Didn't think it would be in the top 10, thought maybe a little bit lower in the draft order, maybe towards the 20s into the mid 20s. But for the 10th overall pick, the number one thing I came away with outside of the fact that they're not trying to waste any more prime years of Joe Burrow is how much every team is telling you they hate this NFL draft. They do not like this draft at all. They believe that there is no defensive tackle that's capable of being a game changer the way that Dexter Lawrence is. So they overpaid for a position that they felt would start to really shape that defensive line. Because remember, they started to make some pretty significant additions in free agency, but to get a penetrating nose tackle, somebody who can change the way that quarterbacks have to play quarterback because of where they are in the pocket, in the presence that Dexter Lawrence commands. I mean, the sack numbers are one thing, and don't look at last year. I mean, we've been through this before with the 0.5 sacks and the career low and everything else, and 3.1 yards before contact with the Giants. That's pretty darn bad. Not as bad as the Bengals were last year, but look at the pressure numbers. The way that Dexter Lawrence can change the complexion of a blocking scheme because of how many people you have to have account for him is the reason the Bengals told themselves, our defense has been terrible, and it's been terrible for a while. If we don't get this one position right, nothing's going to work. That's why they ended up giving up the draft capital that they did. And they had to do it in a lot of respects because they knew, like Michelle brought up, or rather you brought up, Evan, is Joe Burrow going to ask out? He's been hinting at not so under the table ways. Like, we need to make changes. He said it every single offseason because he knows that the team has come up short, not due to his own play in the play of the offense. It's been the defense. And to get a player like this in there right now because of what is not available to them in their mind Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, shows you how the Bengals and probably a lot of other teams view the players that are available to them in this draft class.
That's right. I mean, and Courtney kind of answered Smalls' question about why don't we just look at it as they got a player to help the quarterback in his prime? Because Joe Burrow's comments over the course of the last few years have hinted at retirement at different point, have hinted about the idea of playing on another team at some point. The organization's past, CC always brings this up, whether it's Carson Palmer or others, like where organization's past has led to MVP caliber quarterbacks playing elsewhere. And the other thing about the Bengals and the win now approach, we now have to look at this team as they better win the division. That's the baseline. Why do I say that? Well, Baltimore Ravens. Can we all comment on Jesse Minter as a head coach? No, we can't. He's never been a head coach. Tyler Linderbaum, their center, went to the Raiders. Okay? So Dexter Lawrence over that center. And I don't care about sack numbers for a defensive tackle. And if you're going to play nose tackle, not to get too inside football, but your job is to take on blockers and let other guys do the sack numbers, right? That's their job, the outside guys. But Baltimore, new coach, new interior offensive line, Lamar contract stuff. Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers is still not on the team, oh, by the way, and it is draft week, and the draft is in Pittsburgh. And the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, we're not looking at them as a division winner. What the Cincinnati Bengals did was tell you that we believe that right now and for the next 3 years, Dexter Lawrence can help us more than whoever we draft at number 10. And we need help, and we need to do it now, and we need to win now because no more missing the playoffs. Because if that's the case, there's going to be an entire regime change starting with the quarterback by his ask. That's what I believe. I believe, again, maybe this is somewhat reckless speculation, but it's based on a lot of comments that Burrow has made previously. I believe they thought if we don't do this now, we're a year away from him saying he doesn't want to be there. And I think that's a smart move by them to do this now. I really do. And that's the difference. Because I don't think the Buffalo Bills I don't think it's fair to compare Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson to Joe Burrow. I think those guys are above him, in my opinion. But you don't. I guess the Raven, no, Courtney?
I mean, one of them played in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, the other ones have won MVPs and are consistently better and more
Burrow's
healthy.
been injured a lot. Yeah, health is a huge.
Well, health is on the player also at times.
Okay, his appendectomy was on him. I'll make sure.
No, I'm not saying every part of that, obviously.
Come on, that's ridiculous. Like, to put him in a category to say that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are above where Joe Burrow is as a quarterback, I think is short-sighted because there's a lot of things that were at fault last year that had nothing to do with Joe Burrow. It's the defense, Evan. The last 2 years, this defense has been the Achilles heel for this team.
That's Joe Burrow's fault. He begged them to sign offensive guys.
Come on.
He was the GM. You know what? I'll give him. I've called him the GM of the Bengals. I will give him credit for this move. He's the GM.
He wanted to get his guys paid. That's his fault.
Yeah, because stay out of it. Because you're getting your guys paid and you're hurting your own team.
And if they weren't there, would they have been in a better situation at all? That's ridiculous.
You don't need 2 number 1 receivers if you have Joe Burrow. Here's the dirty little secret about Joe Burrow. He's never played with bad receivers. Ever. He's never had to make receivers better. Ever. College or pro. The one time he did was Ohio State didn't play.
Has Jalen Hurts?
Had Jalen Hurts played with bad? Yeah, and he wasn't that good when he did that. I understand that.
I'm saying he won a Super Bowl with some pretty good receivers.
Yeah, okay. But Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes are significantly better because they are. Well, I know there's an argument on Mahomes here, but more times than not, the receivers are worse than what Burrow has played with. Yeah, so I do put the roster composition on Joe Burrow. He's the one who asked for Chase and Higgins to be paid. He should have asked for one of them to be paid and get me a defense. And they finally got him a defense, which I'll give him credit for. Because if I'm going to say he's the GM when things are bad, I got to say he's the GM when things are good.
I don't think that a quarterback should be somehow dismissed or his skill set should be dismissed just because the front office put good weapons around him.
I agree.
But he is the front office. He is the one that they operate there, or they have operated with every move to satisfy him, not every move to satisfy winning for the team. And I think that this indicates moves to satisfy winning for the team.
Wouldn't paying Trey Hendrickson have been a move to satisfy Joe Burrow, something that they did not do?
Didn't he ask for the 2 receivers first, though?
I'm just saying, like you're saying, like he hasn't asked for defense up until this point. He did.
Yeah, I don't know that he asked as much as he asked for his 2 wide receivers, and I get it. But this is so good move or bad. Just short
Great
Sweet.
move.
Great move.
I love that the Bengals, the notoriously cheap Bengals, as we all know, went in. And the fact that we got a contract extension yesterday, I thought that they might want to, maybe it's a 2-year rental. And if they can get to the Super Bowl with him, they don't even worry about a contract extension. The fact that they gave him the 1 year, $28 million, that was the number, 28 to 30, in that range that we knew he was seeking, to do it right away after he passes the physical. They are doing the most un-Bengals-like business, and it's good for business because it's setting themselves up to go win their division.
I actually love the deal for both sides.
Well, we'll get to the other side then coming up. So you're saying the grass is greener in Cincinnati and New York.
It is.
They must be using True Green. Get